Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Vincent. I'm Executive Director at Kansas Housing Resources Corporations, or Kansas Housing. We are the state's housing finance agency, and we are thrilled that you are taking time out of your day to learn about this very important program and resource that we are thrilled to be offering the citizens of the state that we serve. We have a lot to talk about today. I realize a few people are still kind of signing on, but I may just kind of kick it off with some introductory comments. I do want to make sure that we thank our friends at Lakeview, which is a mortgage servicer that helped organize this call. You know, it takes great partners to help us connect to those that are maybe needing some of this assistance in our state as we try to still deal with a worldwide pandemic and the ramifications that that has had on our jobs and on our people. So we very much appreciate that partnership with Lakeview for those people that helped connect us to you all who may be participating in this webinar today. A couple housekeeping items. This is going to be recorded. We know that we're going to be presenting a lot of information to you, so we want you to be able to go back and view the recording. It'll be emailed to you later along with a PDF of the slides. Make sure that you're using the question function on the control board here so that as you're thinking of questions, there will be an opportunity to ask those questions throughout, and we will try to be fielding and responding to those questions both during the presentation and then at the very end. And finally, I just want to make sure that I'm thanking you all who may be taking some time out of your lunch break, your busy schedules, to learn about this resource, to learn about how KHRC and KHAF can help you keep your home, catch up on your property taxes, make yourself whole so that you're able to move forward in the joy of owning your own home and keeping that home. We know at Kansas Housing how important the work that we do is, that home means so much and has never meant more than during this time of pandemic. So we're thrilled that you took some time from your schedule today. Let's go ahead and jump in and just take a couple minutes and learn about what we're going to be talking about today. Again, you're hearing from myself, Ryan Vincent, Executive Director at Kansas Housing. I'm going to give just a little 5-minute overview of KHRC, the work that we do, the lives that we touch. I'm going to then turn it over to Marilyn Stanley. Marilyn is our KHAF Program Director. She does a fabulous job, has worked with many of you who are on this webinar, talking to you about the resources, making sure that this program is running smoothly and serving those that it's intended to serve. Marilyn then is going to turn it over to Andrew Perry with Witt O'Brien's, our consultant partner, who's going to actually walk you through the application process itself for KHAF. You know, it's always helpful to kind of see how these things are done so that you get a little bit of a glimpse and we can kind of help you through the application process. We'll then go back to Marilyn, who's going to be talking about some of the other loss mitigation options that we offer here at Kansas Housing through this program. And then lastly, I'll join you again. We're going to kind of do a wrap up. We can talk about what we've learned, hopefully answer some of your questions along with Marilyn, and then let you go on to your busy schedules. So that's what to expect over this next 30 minutes or hour or so. But we'll start first with just an overview of Kansas Housing. KHRC has actually been around almost 20 years. We are a nonprofit public corporation. We are the state's housing finance agency, but we administer a variety of different housing and community programs. We'd love for you to find out more. We've got a beautiful website at kshousingcorp.org. But our mission itself is simple. We help Kansans access the safe, affordable housing they need and the dignity they deserve. Dignity is so key to our mission and our work. We know that home is vital to healthy families and neighborhoods and communities. And we take that charge and that mission so seriously in the work that we do. As far as who we work with, well, we work with you. Whether you're a homeowner, we work with renters, we work with local government officials and realtors and lenders. We work with all levels of government, nonprofit, homeless shelters. If you live, breathe, pay taxes, or do business in the state of Kansas, you are a stakeholder of Kansas Housing. Now let's just take just a minute and just talk about the range of programs that we administer at Kansas Housing. We recognize that every Kansan has various and divergent housing needs. Some of those needs are people who are unhoused that actually need an emergency shelter. They may need a domestic violence center. KHRC funds a network of those great organizations around the state that are available on our website. But we also fund community action agencies around the state, great nonprofit anti-poverty organizations that provide food and transportation, different health and safety programs that you want to make sure that either you're aware of or are helping let other neighbors and friends know about. KHRC does a great deal of actual housing development. We fund affordable housing as well as moderate income housing in our state. We know that there's simply not enough safe, accessible, affordable housing. So we're doing our best to get affordable housing options to your communities, whether that's rural or urban areas alike. KHRC also has a down payment assistance program. Many of the on this call are actually homeowners, but we know that sometimes you need a little help to get into that home. So we'll be able to provide up to 20% of the purchase price of a home, which is even more important as interest rates continue to go up. Kansas Housing does offer weatherization assistance. So even if you own your own home now, we're able to provide free weatherization upgrades to make a house save utility cost, to make it more comfortable, to make it more safe. That's for both homeowners and renters alike. So be sure to check out our website for our weatherization program. We've got compliance. We've got a healthy compliance department that goes out and monitors to make sure that all of our housing is built well and a good neighbor for those that we serve. And finally, the last 2 years, we've been very active in the emergency response realm. We've been running the Kansas Emergency Rental Assistance or KHRC program. That program has already served, well over 75,000 Kansans facing eviction. We've been able to help with rent and utility assistance for those important stakeholders and been able to make thousands of landlords whole, which is so important during this time of pandemic. But we know that emergency rental assistance simply wasn't enough. That COVID had such a dramatic impact on our homeowners, many of which lost their jobs, lost work hours, had childcare costs, may have had actual medical expenses due to that pandemic. It took a huge toll that Marilyn is going to be sharing with you shortly on our homeowners in the state. And that's why we're so pleased to be able to offer this Kansas Homeowner Assistance Fund or KHAF program. We're going to really do that deep dive into that program here momentarily so that you can learn a little bit more about how to apply the resources that we can offer and how we can help you save your home. So I'm pleased at this time to be able to introduce Marilyn Stanley. Marilyn has a real heart and passion for homeownership and affordable housing. Marilyn was the long-term director of Housing Credit Counseling, Inc. of Topeka, which served tenants and landlords and homeowners facing some different challenges that you may be facing today. Marilyn has a heart for service, and I look forward to listening to Marilyn share about her KHAF program, and then I'll rejoin you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. All right, well, we'll just get started here. So KHAF, the Kansas Homeowner Assistance Fund program, each state was allocated a pot of money to help the homeowners in that specific state. So here in Kansas, we were awarded $56 million, and we've been working. We opened the program back on April the 18th. We started a little bit of pilot program at the very last day of March, but April 18th is when we fully opened the program. So it has not been open long, but you'll see soon that we've made a lot of progress. Currently, we have over 200 mortgage servicers collaborating with the program. I think the last count I saw was maybe around 220. So that's a lot of mortgage servicers agreeing to work with us, which is wonderful. So next slide, please. This slide is very important. This is our Kansas Homeowner Assistance Fund, our KHAF program audience. This is our world here. So at the end of second quarter, which was the end of June, just not long ago, the Mortgage Bankers Association report identified that there were 10,098 past due Kansas homeowners They were past due on their mortgage, that many, and 5,000 of those were seriously delinquent. So times have changed, since last year. We've been monitoring these reports, but this is the latest data. We'll look forward to receiving a new report for the third quarter. I believe it comes out next month sometime. We're hopeful that we have helped make a difference in these numbers, but it can tell you how these limited dollars, how we have to stretch them, and why we chose to prioritize certain past due homeowners. Next slide, please. All right, so currently we have reached 94 of the 105 Kansas counties for the KHAF program. And the latest metrics report, there's a link to it right there, but it is on our KHAF webpage. So it lists all of the counties that we have received applications from, and how many that we've approved in those counties, and how much funding we provided by each of those counties. Now, we still have a goal to reach the rest of the counties, but the information we are able to pull, those counties that are remaining have a population below 10,000, and within those, a smaller population of homeowners who actually have mortgages. But we'll continue to try to reach those out. If you have connections to help us reach all people in Kansas who might be past due, we'd love you to share that with them. Word of mouth is often the best way for people to learn about a program, especially one like this, where it might seem too good to be true. So people are a little nervous about that, and which that makes sense. We've all got to be careful. Next slide, please. This is an example of some of the income guidelines. Unlike most programs that provide assistance, the income amounts are usually much lower than this. So this being a homeowner program, income limits, you must be below 150% of area median income in the county that you reside and the household size. So we've thrown a few examples out there. For example, in Douglas County for Lawrence, a household of 4 cannot earn more than $141,750. Throwing out there, Wyandotte County, household of 4, no more than $145,200. So each county may be just a little different, but as you can see, this could be a 2-person working household in some instances, or even a 1-person working household. Each county is identified on the list on our webpage if someone would like to look. Next slide, please. All right, these are the key qualifications. So noting, very important, to get approved for KHAF assistance, they must be 30 days or more past due on their mortgage or their property taxes. We have had many of our denials for the program were because the homeowner was not past due by 30 days. So that's where we go back, that if for some reason they later become 30 days past due, they can come back to the program and be reconsidered. This does not that you should become or purposely become 30 days past due. We do not encourage that. The reason we have chose the KHAF program to serve those who are past due by 30 days is to prioritize and make sure our dollars are used for those in most of the greatest need. And then I must know, of course, they need to be the owner of the property. It has to be physically located in Kansas. It can't be like second homes or investment properties. Therefore, if you're a landlord and this is your rental property, that's not your primary residence. So then that would not qualify. And then all of the eligible property types there listed below. So pretty much includes everything. I should note on manufactured homes, sometimes they may be having the lot or the property rented, but they're an owner of the manufactured home, and that is eligible for KHAF. Now, the lot rent is not eligible for KHAF, but the home, the mortgage on the manufactured home is. Okay, next slide, please. All right, we do have 4 general categories of assistance through the KHAF program. All right, so mortgage reinstatement. This is the past due mortgage amounts. And sometimes that can include late fees and legal fees and a variety of different other things. And so again, that is the main part there, the past due mortgage payments to get someone caught up. Please do note, you'll see there it says contract for deed. So this does include land contract or contract for deed, which some people call rent to own. These are a little bit more time consuming because usually it's a person like me that owns a house and I'm selling a house to someone. And so I would, as a person, have to also onboard to work with the program. And it's just, along with those 200 other mortgage servicers, they are probably a little more familiar with our system and can answer records. So it's faster in that way. The second category, mortgage payments. This is forward mortgage payments. After we have brought someone current on their past due mortgage or help them reinstate their mortgage, we can award up to 6 months of forward payments. Now, this is important that it also depends on a variety of factors. For one, the mortgage company has to agree to that through our common data file. Secondly, the homeowner has to request it in their original application. There's a place that says something on the lines of, can you make your future payments? And if they say no, and it'll ask how many months do you need assistance with? And if someone puts 6 months there, we can consider that in all of the numbers. Not everyone does forward mortgage payments. Just note that is a key item right there. Property charges. This is where those past due property taxes land. So commonly, people will get a tax sale at 3 months or 3 years of past due property taxes. Not always. Every county is just a little different. So we've been able to help people pay all those past due property taxes. But the maximum there is $10,000. So we do have some that have exceeded that and we have not been able to help them, but we're going to continue to try to help all those who are below 10,000. And then utilities, internet, broadband. The internet cannot be bundled with things like television, for example. So that would not be eligible, but general internet and then utilities would be as well. Now, this is not a utilities only kind of program. They must first have a past due on their mortgage or property taxes of more than 30 days. And then we must first approve that mortgage or property tax assistance before utilities and internet can be approved. So it's not that those aren't very important, but it's secondary to the purpose of the half dollars to help people prevent foreclosures. Next slide, please. All right, here's those maximum assistance amounts. So any given household cannot receive more than $60,000. Now that is huge. The average person, that's like winning the lottery. So it may seem too good to be true in some circumstances that it could seem something that, something's not right here. But I've got to tell you, this is true once in a lifetime kind of program. So now is the time to apply. The most, again, is $50,000 on past due mortgage or forward mortgage payments together, and no more than $10,000 for the property taxes and utilities and all those items together. And this does include HOA or homeowner association fees as well. Next slide, please. All right, if the KHAF program awards more than $25,000 in assistance, it's structured as a 2-year non-interest bearing loan to the borrower. So there would be an extra document to sign. The goal is that we would want, if we give between $25,000 and $50,000 of assistance, we would like to see someone at least maintain their housing over the next couple of years. So this way, you know, for instance, if someone got $50,000 and they turned around next month and put the house up for sale. So again, we want to make sure these dollars are used for the purpose of the grant. Next slide, please. All right, now homeowners' responsibilities. All right, so again, program launched April 18th, but the first step is applying. Sometimes people are, because they're overwhelmed or they're upset that they're so far behind on their mortgage, they're not quite sure what to do. And the hardest part, log in or click on that link there, log in and create an account, and then start uploading the documentation. Of course, this is a federal grant, so we do need documents to show that it's a real person, it's a real property, and that it is their property, certain guidelines. So we've tried to streamline that as much as possible, but again, it's a federal grant. We need certain documentation to be able to help. So there is a checklist available on our webpage, so if anyone needs help with that. Commonly, people will take their smartphone and take a picture of documents and then upload those directly into the system. So once you get it submitted, it goes pretty smooth. Our team is reviewing applications within a day or two after they're submitted to check to make sure all of the information is there. So that's where you're going to want to monitor your email or log in to the system and check your status. Because if there might be something we're missing or something isn't real clear, not legible, maybe it's a little fuzzy, we may ask for a new copy of it. Okay. Next slide, please. All right, quickly, the KHAF program is working with HUD housing counseling agencies and legal services. So these are some of the things they may work with someone on. Now, know that sometimes someone might apply to the KHAF program a little bit late in the game where maybe they're in foreclosure status. If that happens and we're aware of it, we can get them referred over at no cost to them to Kansas Legal Services to try to work with answering answers with the court and to try to see if they might qualify for the KHAF program. Then maybe we could slow down that foreclosure, that sheriff sale from happening so that KHAF has time to process payments in the application. So that's worked pretty well for X amount of people. It's not a lot, but for every person, that is one house that we're able to save as a partnership of the program. On the other end, the Kansas HUD housing counseling agencies, they can help people with budgeting, talking about options of can they afford this house ongoing and long term. You know, may there be other options for them to help stay afloat so that if the mortgage is too much for their income as it is today, there may be options. Now, please know there is a Kansas foreclosure timeline. There's a couple available online. The one that's referenced here is on the Attorney General's office so that you can get an idea. Kansas is a judicial district and takes a little bit of time for a foreclosure to take place. But it's important to pay attention to that timeline and where someone might be at in that situation. So just giving you that information. Next slide, please. All right, here is a list of the HUD housing counseling agencies in Kansas that we are working with through the KHAF program. Community Housing of Wyandotte County, they only serve Wyandotte County. So if you apply to the KHAF program, and if we make a referral to one of the HUD agencies, you're probably going to get referred to either Consumer Credit Counseling Service or to Housing and Credit Counseling, Inc. So we basically do a round robin because they both serve the entire state of Kansas. Next slide, please. I think this is where we get ready to turn it over to Andrew. Andrew, he's going to show you a little bit about what it's like to apply to the KHAF program. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Marilyn. And give me 1 second, y'all. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew, and I will be sharing my screen to show to you all how you go from the start to finish to getting your KHAF application submitted. Okay. All right. Everyone should be able to see my screen. Please post in the chat if you are unable to. But as Marilyn stated, you can access and sign up for the portal by going to the Kansas Housing website. From there, you will navigate to this page, and this is what you will see. So first, what you will do is click Register Now, which will then take you to this page here where you'll just input the basic information. This is to create your account so that you can then submit your application. Importantly, you'll want to select that you are the homeowner, unless you are completing this on behalf of someone who is unable to on their own, in which case you would then select homeowner representative. Slightly different roles, gives you the ability to, again, complete the application on your own or on someone else's behalf, and is tailored to both those experiences. So once you click register, you'll then navigate to the email that you selected and inputted here. There will be a link there that will have you then create a password. And once you do so, you are then able to log in. You'll do the email password and CAPTCHA, log in, which will then take you to this very first page. And so what you'll first do on an application is you will go through the pre-eligibility screen. So this list here is a score of different questions that ascertain basic fundamental eligibility. We have to abide by these, part of our, as part of the legislation that Congress passed that authorized HAF funding for Kansas. And so we don't want you to go through the whole process if you're not going to meet one of these core eligibility requirements. And so we'll go through this together. And so the first one is, do you own your primary residence, and is it within the state of Kansas? That has to be yes. If no, you will be stopped at this page. The other key element is, have you experienced a financial hardship due to COVID-19, which means a material reduction in income or a material increase in living expenses that is somehow associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. So again, you have to have experienced a financial hardship related to COVID-19. You'll select yes. Then we're going to ask some follow-up questions on this hardship. The COVID-19 emergency started on January 21st, 2020. So the hardship had to have been started or been exacerbated after that date. So we're going to ask you what specific date that financial hardship started. Doesn't have to be exact, can be ballpark. You'll be asked to describe what those actions are after this. So first we'll go back and we'll select 2020. In this case, we'll have our financial hardship begin in July. And then it's going to ask, has your household's income been reduced due to the pandemic? And so these are the various options. We include an other option if none of these selections fit. We're going to say wages and hours reduced and current or past unemployment. Then we are going to ask, has your household had any additional expenses due to the pandemic? And here we're going to select new or increased healthcare costs. Then it will ask for you to describe your financial hardship in a bit more detail. So what you're going to do here is just summarize what occurred for these reasons here. And so we will say, my significant other has a existing medical condition that was exacerbated by COVID-19, resulting in them losing their job and increased medical costs. Again, just generally, what is the circumstances behind your financial hardship due to COVID-19? Then the next question is, have you fallen at least 30 days or more on one of the following payments, which is going to be your mortgage, property taxes, insurance, or HOA condo fees? Again, you have to be at least 30 days delinquent, so you'll hit yes here. And then, do you receive SNAP benefits or other governmental assistance? And so if you do, you'll click yes or no. And then next, you'll see, how did you hear about us? This is an optional, but we are eager to know how you've learned about the program, and so we would ask you to complete this as well. Then you'll scroll back up. It'll ask, what county are you in? And so for this purposes, we'll be in Shawnee County. And then the number of people in the household. So this is everyone, adults and children, who live in the house more than 50% of the time. Live-in aides and unborn children are not to be included. So for this purposes, we'll say 3. And then it's going to ask you, what is your total monthly gross household income? And so you'll look at your income sources, whether that's wage, documents, tax returns, and you're going to input your gross household income on a monthly basis. And so for this case, we will put 9,000. You'll see that once you've inputted the county, the number of people in your households, and your gross monthly income, you'll see what is the AMI limit per program rules versus what your annualized income based off this 9,000 is. And so you can see we are under that limit. So what you would do next is hit continue, if I can find. Oh, and then, sorry, I forgot, please enter your preferred language. This helps us make sure that we assign you a case reviewer that can communicate with you in the best way that you prefer. So now that we've answered all of these questions, we will go hit continue. But just for quick purposes, I'm going to go click no on have you fallen at least 30 days behind. So when you do this, you're going to receive an error message. You do not qualify for HAF assistance because you have not fallen behind on one or more payments in connection with your home. And so what happens here is you're soft locked. You can't hit next. But what you can do is if you accidentally click the button and you need to go back and make a change to your selections, you just click edit and then click yes and change whichever question you had accidentally input wrong, and then hit continue. So then next, now that we've passed pre-eligibility, we're going to want to get detailed information from you on various aspects that will comprise your application. So first is your address. So we will plug this in here. If you have a mailing address that's different from your current address, we have space for you to plug that in there as well. You'll hit save. We match what you input for your address compared to the USPS service. And so here you can see that they recommend adding the additional zip code identifier. If you had misinputted something else incorrectly, it would likely catch that as well. So you can choose whichever one you want. In this case, we'll go with the selected address. So now this has been saved. You can go hit next. And then so now, because we had input 3 occupants, you have you yourself, the applicant, and then I had 2 additional occupants. And so this is where we can go in and add the details for each. So we do require a phone number. It can be home, work, or cell. If it is a cell phone number, you have the option to opt in or opt out of SMS, text messaging. We use that as a form for us to follow up with you if we're missing any information. But again, up to you if that's something that you want to receive via phone or not. Social Security number is not required. If you want to provide it, we will use it, but again, it's not something that is necessary. Your date of birth is, so we're going to go select a year. Your gender, again, several options for you to choose from here. Race as well. If you identify as multiple races, you have the ability to select multiple. Otherwise, you can decline to answer on any of these, and same with ethnicity as well. We want to know if you, the applicant, you yourself, are currently unemployed. Yes, no. And then these are optional questions. Are you disabled? Have you served in the U.S. military? Again, just additional metrics that we track if you are willing to provide that. If you have any alternate contact information, you can input that here and click Save. And so you will see, you'll get a message and a banner here, and then you'll see down here, this will change from red to green and say complete. And so then we'll go in and add the details for our additional occupants. For additional occupants, a phone number is not required, but date of birth is. And you'll go in and you'll complete, again, the race and ethnicity, and as well as the unemployment. For this occupant, we are going to say yes. And then date of unemployment when it started. And so here we will go back and add a date for when this individual's unemployment started. And then if you aren't providing the Social Security number, you do need to click that. I am not providing that. Again, you'll see that it was saved. This window will stay up. You can come here, you can close. You can delete and add additional occupants on this screen. And then we will add a dependent. And here we will just add their date of birth. And hit save. And so importantly, you have 2 individuals over the age of 18 and 1 individual under the age of 18. I say that now because we have different documentation requirements for whether you are over 18 or under 18. So then, now that we've completed everything, we see 3 green check boxes. We will go in and hit next. Next, it's going to ask for monthly income. And so for you, the primary applicant, we will add income, and you have different options. If you are unemployed and don't make income, you'll select this checkbox up here. Otherwise, depending on what the type of income source it is, you'll select that one and NA for the others. So we'll go in here, and this individual is only making wages. And we will put 9,000 and then choose. And so this is where you're going to upload the wage documentation. So you'll be prompted to upload that. And so if you have multiple wages, wage documents, pay stubs, we'll want to see that. So we have 2 pay stubs here that comprise the 9,000 gross monthly income, and we'll hit save. You'll notice that you'll get a green banner at the top. Everything has been saved successfully. Please close this window to continue. You can exit out there. You'll see here that, again, he is green complete. We're good to go with that individual. And then because the other occupant, the significant other, is over 18, we require income documentation for them. But this individual has been unemployed since late 2020, and so we'll just go in here and click this checkbox, which then automatically checkbox all of the NA options on the income sources below. You'll see, again, banner hits successfully saved, hit close. So now we have this page complete, and we're going to hit next. I'd like to point out, as you complete each section, it'll change from a exclamation point icon to a blue check. And that tells you that for that section, all information has been completed correctly. And so now it is going to ask, what are you requesting? And so for this individual, they are past due on their mortgage by $40,000. And then they're going to upload a mortgage statement that will show and demonstrate who their loan servicer is, what their account number is, and that they are past due. This individual is also going to be behind on their HOA, and so they will be $5,000 behind on HOA. Notice if you were to go over the amount that is allowed by program limits, you'll see an error message that says amount should not exceed $10,000. Because, again, as Marilyn stated, property charges, which includes your property tax, et cetera, as well as utilities, cannot exceed $10,000. You'll upload the supporting documentation there. And now that we've inputted all of the assistance that we would like to request, we will hit save. Note that you can go through and finish your application piecemeal. So if you don't have all of your documentation, let's say you can go all the way up through the income page, you can hit save and log out and access your application at a later date to submit. You don't have to have everything together to submit it all at once. But we've inputted what we are requesting for assistance, and except for utilities, and utilities is done separately, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, we have to input our mortgage information. And so here, you'll be asked for the account number. And then optional, you can put in your loan origination date. We want to know, are you under active foreclosure? Yes, no. If yes, we want to know when the foreclosure date is. And then if you are under forbearance or were under forbearance, and hit no here. In this case, we're going to hit no. Then we're going to ask, what type of home do you own? And so we will say this is a single family home that's affixed to the property. And then it'll ask how many units. If it's a single family home, you're going to enter 1. It also up here is going to ask what your monthly payment is. And so we're going to say it is $1,300. An even number, 1,500 here. Then it says you need assistance in making upcoming mortgage payments. So this is critical if you are seeking to get future mortgage assistance. We want to know, do you think that you'll be able to make payments once your mortgage has been reinstated? By saying yes, you are stating and affirming that you are unable to continue to afford your monthly payments, and then we'll want you to specify how many months of assistance you would like to request additional once your mortgage has been reinstated. We are able to fund up to 6. Again, we are working with that $50,000 program cap for mortgage assistance. So if your mortgage reinstatement was $50,000, we wouldn't be able to render any additional monthly mortgage assistance because you already hit the cap. But because in this instance we're requesting $40,000 and our payments are at $1,500, we can request some additional months. Are you under bankruptcy? Yes, yes, no. We use this information to help put you in contact with the legal aid service so that if there is any roadblocks as it pertains to your loan servicer engaging with KHAF due to bankruptcy considerations, we have an avenue for you to engage to ensure that we are able to resolve that and get to a state where we can provide the reinstatement and other funding as well. If you also have a second mortgage, a HELOC or some other form that is also past due, you would enter yes here, and then we'll create a separate case to process that mortgage as well. Once you go through all of this information, again, you'll hit save and next. You'll see the blue check box. So the next section is, do you want utility assistance? So you can either say, I do not need any utility assistance, or if you are behind at least 30 days on utility assistance, we are able to help with that as well. So for utility assistance, you're going to go up to the upper right-hand corner and click Add Utility. You're going to choose what type of utility it is. You're going to input your account number. What is the total amount that you owe? Again, we require a statement that is at least 30 days since it was issued. So you'll just sum up that total amount there. So we'll say here that this is $250. We want to know what is the past due amount from that bill. So we'll say 150 of that is past due. And how many months behind are you? So we'll say in this case 3. Please plug in the invoice date as well. So we'll say we got this invoice on the 18th of October, and then it'll show you based off of what you put as total owed versus what's past due, what the current amount due is as well. Okay, then you'll hit save, and now you'll see that a document is required to be uploaded after you hit save. So we'll go in and we're going to add the utility statement here and click save. Now you'll see that that's been there. You can delete this utility or you can close out. If you want to add any additional, you'd go up and add additional there. But for this application, they're only requesting electricity assistance. So now we are substantially complete with the information we need to review your application. And so we're getting really close to the point where you're able to submit. You've uploaded some documentation throughout, but now we have some additional documents by the homeowner, by the occupant. So for the applicant, we require the most information. First is a form of identification. So we accept IDs and other government issued identifications. And so we'll go here and upload the driver's license. Proof of occupancy. Again, we are required only to provide assistance to homeowners that reside in their unit as a primary resident. And so we need either a utility bill or a tax bill that shows both your residence as the service address and as the mailing address on that statement. That's what we use as a benchmark to test for whether you occupy your home or whether it would be considered a second home or an investment home. If you have a foreclosure notice, you'll upload that here. Note anything that's with a red star is required. So a foreclosure notice obviously is not required, especially if you're not under foreclosure. For proof of ownership, we want some document that shows that you are the owner. We accept a copy of the most recent mortgage statement or deed or a property tax statement as well. And so we'll upload proof of ownership. Notice that you can go in and delete additional documentation if you accidentally uploaded the wrong one to the wrong place. And then if there's any other documentation that you feel is important to your application, you'll go in here and upload that there. So now we've uploaded documentation for that is required for the primary applicant. Notice there's now a green checkbox there. Then there's going to be some information we need for the other occupant who's over 18. Note we don't request any additional documentation for the individual who's under 18. Here we just simply need a form of identification for that applicant. And so then we will hit next. So we are nearly there. And so lastly, we need you to sign your application. This is twofold. One, you are signing that you agree for us to share your information with your loan servicer and other third parties such as the housing counseling agencies and legal aid services so that we can best assist you. And then two, we have a score of conditions that you'll need to attest to, such as your application is truthful and accurate and complete. So we'll go here, add your signature, add your initials, hit save signature. If you want to redo it, hit clear. So we're going to save that here. And so notice now we have a embedded PDF. And so you can read through everything that you are going to sign. So here's your third-party authorization form. And then here is the attestation promulgation of what you are attesting to when you submit your application. And if you keep on scrolling down, you'll see that there's a spot for you to add your signature and for you to add the date. And then lastly, you need to go down to this checkbox here and check that you attest that all information is true, complete, and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief. And so hit, and then you are ready to hit submit. So when you're ready to hit the application, you'll hit submit. It'll take you to your case screen down here on the case button, and you'll see you have a case ID, and it'll show you the status of your case. So this is showing that it has been applied, but that it hasn't been picked up and it hasn't been under review yet. So what I failed to mention when I started this is that we designed this portal to be as user-friendly as possible. You can do this via the web, or you can do it on your phone, and the formatting will change so that you can easily navigate it using your cell phone. You can upload scanned documents from your computer, or as Marilyn stated, you can take a photo using your phone and actually upload it directly into the document as well. And so with that, this is all that you have to do to get your application submitted. The case team will follow up with you if there is any additional information or documentation we may need to render whether you are an eligible applicant or not, at which point we then will engage with your loan servicer to ensure that we're getting expense validation from them on what your past due mortgage amount is. And so with that, thank you all, and I will be giving the presentation back to Marilyn. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Andrew. It's very, very helpful. I know it's helpful for people to actually see it so it doesn't feel overwhelming. It is a lot of documentation. Again, we wouldn't ask for it unless we didn't need it for the purposes of the federal funding cycle and just information for the entire system. So thank you for going through that with us. Please do note the average time it has taken so far for an application to get processed from start to payout time has been about 45 days for us here in Kansas. We do have applications that pay out really quickly. Let's say if it's a property tax, for example. But every lender is just a little bit different. Some are responding to records every day. Some are trying to stay within responding to our records every couple of weeks. There are still some we're working through some aged files, but we are working those very, very hard. We're also still trying to onboard certain mortgage companies or servicers to work with the program. So these are pressure points for us, and we continue to do this every day, and we're trying to communicate with those who that might be an issue with. All right, real quickly, I know we're about out of time. These here on the screen are some other loss mitigation options. Now, of course, if you qualify for the HAF program or KHAF program, that's generally been a great option for people. I mean, it is a grant. However, everyone needs to know about forbearances, repayment plans, modifications, and then they might have had a deferral or a partial claim or could get one as well. So all of these items are different kinds of loss mitigation options besides the HAF program, or they might have been at the same time or before the KHAF program. Sometimes if someone's in a forbearance actively, they will get denied KHAF assistance because a lender might report their current or not past due. And then when the forbearance ends, then they have this big balance show up as past due. And so if that happens, then we can try and send a new record to the mortgage company to see if we can get them approved for assistance. Sometimes people are past due more than $50,000. That is our program maximum. We have a short list of those. And so we send those back to the head housing counseling agencies to try to see if they may be able to get some other options. Some people have gotten confused when they didn't realize they had a partial claim where they've taken this past due of their mortgage and it's put into another loan on the that they would pay at the end of their loan. So they're thinking, oh yeah, that's a past due amount, but really it's not, because they took all that past due and put it in another loan at the end. So all of this is a little bit of complicated, but the HUD agencies can certainly help you with understanding these options. And it does vary by the type of mortgage you have. For example, if you have an FHA or a VA, so versus conventional. So please keep that in mind. Now, a couple of other quick options that might be good for people depending on their situation. Of course, selling the house. If the house payment and the house itself is just more than you can now financially handle. Let's say your business went away as part of COVID and now you are earning less money. You may need to think about it. Can you continue to make these payments going forward? And that's where these options may be something to consider. Again, deed in lieu of foreclosure, that's basically giving the house back. Years ago, there used to be something like, cash for keys kind of things where you're going to return the house to the mortgage company. And then there could be a short sale. If you owe more on the house than your house is worth, that's a short sale. You'd have to get the lender to agree to that. I'm not seeing quite as many of those these days, but those were something that more people did back in 2008. I think that's it. The next slide, I think we have, oh no, I'm sorry, let me give you, this is where we're at. We have provided funding to over 2,244 households in Kansas and well over $23 million. I think when I looked early this morning, we were at about $26 or $27 million. So on our website, we have a variety of resources for you, frequently asked questions, a flyer, and so forth. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm going to bring Ryan and Andrew back on to just recap. And of course, if you have questions, right, Ryan, they could type them into the chat.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Marilyn and Andrew, for this great information. I know we have thrown a lot of information and very technical terms at the audience today. So this is the time to ask those questions. You can post them in the questions feature of the control panel here. Certainly, if you end up having some subsequent questions after this call, after you've had some time to review things, when you get that PDF of the slides in your email, please make sure that you reach out to us. We've got the link here in the slides on how to actually register and use that online application portal that Andrew showed us. We also have very talented and helpful staff available through the phone number that you see listed on your screen, as well as that KHAF Contact Us form. But right now, I'm not actually seeing any questions in the chat, and I'm sure that's because Marilyn and Andrew did such a good job explaining the program. But know that we are available. We are interested in making sure that we're helping you keep your home. We know how vital home is, and we want to do our part to get this federal resource out the door, just like the other 2,200 families that have been served through this program. I'm getting a couple nice comments through the chat here. We'll give just a minute more. I know we're right at the end of our time, and everyone's busy people with busy times. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions. Again, please make sure you reach out to us at the information on your screen. Be watching for that email. Thanks, Andrew, Marilyn, Lakeview, all of you who took the time to participate in this important webinar and information. Look forward to helping you unlock home in the great work that we all mutually do to help Kansans and those we serve. Best wishes, everyone.
Thank you.